BSF Recovery Team, your real-world off-road YouTube channel. If you've been following along our last few videos, you'll know that we ventured up to the off-road park on the Iron Range in northern Minnesota. And you will also know that we were there for an annual off-road event called Rock Rash 2015. After a short tour of the park, we ventured down to the gorge. The gorge was one of the rock obstacles, or holes, in the golf tournament style rock crawling event. When we got there, we parked the wrecker and got out to get some up-close rock crawling footage.
Nice!
While we were filming, we were approached by one of the competitors, who unfortunately needed our assistance.
So, we got a problem with the Samurai here?
Yep.
What?
Our first hole of the day, and started going, and then the truck just decided to keep on turning to the right. So I think the hydraulic ram went out, and then come to find out, one of my shackle bolts are out of the leaf spring shackles. So we decided just to back it off and call it good.
All right. Well, we'll hook it up and get you back to the campground.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Because the Samurai broke down right at the beginning of the obstacle, it was easy for him to back away and park it in a spot where we could easily hook the wrecker up. The owner of the light little Samurai asked me how big a rig the wrecker could handle.
I don't know. I had some, had Cummins diesel one time with 2.5 ton militaries and 54-inch tractors that made my front end so light I couldn't steer coming up some of the hills. I had to hook my Jeep to the front to pull me around the corners.
If you couldn't hear that, I told the owner of the Samurai a story about one time I hooked a Cummins diesel with 2.5 ton military axles and 54-inch tractor tires. He was so heavy that a few of the hills that I climbed to get him out of the woods, I had to have my Jeep hooked to the front of me, keep my front end down so I could steer while climbing the hills. After a little chuckle about that, we both agreed that the Samurai should be no problem. If you have a sharp eye and noticed, that is a very early Suzuki there in the background. It was quite a unique vehicle to see out there in the woods, even though the engine was wore out and it blows a lot of smoke. We didn't have time to admire the classic too much though. There was work to be done. Now that the Samurai was secure on the hook, it was time to make the long trek out of the park. This park is big, and we had a long ways to go. trek out of the park wasn't extremely difficult, but did consist of various core trails. Some of the trails were a little slow going. We had to be a little careful. And then there were others where we could pick up the pace a little bit and travel at a good speed. Finally, we got to the bridge that crosses the railroad tracks near the park entrance. If the Samurai owner had trailered his Samurai to the park for the day, then that would have been the end of our recovery. We could have just dropped it in a large parking lot at the park entrance. But he was camping for the weekend, and there's no camping in the parking lot at the park. All of the camping has to be done off-site. He was camping in the municipal park in the city of Gilbert. But there is a trail connecting the park to the campground in the city of Gilbert. It is a multi-use trail. So that's how we were going to get the Samurai all the way back to the campground. After leaving the park entrance, we were able to cross the road and catch the trail that leads us to the campground in the city of Gilbert. finally, we made it to Sherwood Forest Campground. The campground is a very nice, clean campground run by the city that lies on the shores of Lake Orbegon. Lake Orbegon was originally an open pit mine, and that's where all the rocks and boulders that the park is built on came from.
Looking for a big motor home. The one down there.
Looks like our work is done for the moment. Thanks for watching, BSF Recovery Team. Stay safe, keep wheeling, and maybe we'll see you out there in the woods.